The Buffalo Bills once again came a few plays short of playing for the Lombardi Trophy, and now their eyes turn to the 2025 NFL Draft on how they can improve enough to finally have that opportunity to win the Super Bowl. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down our first Buffalo Bills 2025 three-round mock draft. But before we get into that, if you like the content that we put out and you want to help the channel grow, easiest way is hitting that subscribe button, tackling that bell, and while you're at it, leave a like and a comment. Let us know what you want to see the Buffalo Bills do in the upcoming draft. And Ryan, with that being said, let's pull up our first pick here. So we did a full three-round mock draft, all 100 picks or so, and you can see a couple picks before and after, some other potential options. And the Bills are in a very just unique spot. I feel like they need like a big like a clear number one receiver here that Josh Allen could throw to. There's maybe some ways they can improve on the trenches. Secondary, they have a couple of key free agents that are going to be hitting the market. So how do they want to retain them? So we ended up going more just the edge rusher route, just having a good front seven. It seems to be a pretty consistent trend for Sean McDermott, just to have a good, solid front seven group of guys that he can rotate in and out, keep legs fresh, that can get after the quarterback. This defensive numbers this year were pretty good. They had some really good games and they had some not so great games. But in general, it was an average style defense that were able to keep them in a lot of games. And Josh Allen and this offense were extremely efficient. It's going to be good for that. Joe Brady's coming back to this team here. But I say that because like I can see them going edge rusher. If they'd want to go defensive tackle, a guy like Walter Nolan, I think would be very interesting just with his athleticism and versatility. Siobhan Ravel was still on the board. I could see them going there that route and just keep improving that secondary room as well. Trey Amos or Darian Porter, I think, are a couple other guys. Ryan, as a Patriots fan here, and you're looking at the Bills, a team that you like analyze a lot because they've been the top dog the past couple of years. What are some areas you think that JT Tuimoloau, I probably butchered that name. What do you think he brings to the table that would help out this Bills defense?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, just more consistent edge pressure. They have Greg Rousseau on one side, Von Miller is on the other, but I have a feeling Von Miller might be a cap casualty this offseason. They could save a lot of money by doing that. And then after that, they just have like a rotation of guys that kind of fill in there. AJ Epinesa in cast. I can't think of too many others off the top of my head, but all in all, I think if you go get a guy like JT Tuimoloau, that he gives you a much more consistent edge presence across from Greg Rousseau, and that defensive interior is good, but JT Tuimoloau is also a really good run defender as well, especially too when he gets down into the red zone. I think that's going to be a big thing for this Bills defense, is just holding teams to field goals. Because look, with Josh Allen and that offense with led by Joe Brady, James Cook, and whatnot, they're going to be able to put up a lot of points on a lot of teams. And so if they could hold teams to field goals in the red zone, I think that's going to be really important. And then also, too, just mentality. JT Tuimoloau is a leader. He's an impact player in the locker room as well as on the field. And I think that's going to be really important for this defense, just to set a mentality on the field where at times, like even in the end of that Kansas City game, I felt like they got a little deflated, just not being able to stop the run. And I feel like JT Tuimoloau is going to be a guy that's going to come in and really bring a lot of energy to this team.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you on that. He definitely does seem like a Buffalo kind of guy. I think he would come in and would fit really well within the locker room. It definitely seems like they have a great culture up there, and it's neat too. Also, it's hard too if you're playing for the Bills. It's hard to not, I think, to enjoy playing for the team, especially too with how much the city
Oh
gets
yeah.
behind it as well. And JT definitely seems like a guy that would thrive in that kind of environment. I think another thing then too as well. If we move on to their next pick, they have two picks in the second round here. A guy like Omar Norman-Lott, he definitely is I almost want to say like pass rushing specialist. I feel when it comes to the defensive tackle position, that was his like primary. I think like 2/3 of his snaps were from that position, and I think as well too, he is a little bit on the lighter side, but he's got a great amount of speed and burst as well. And if you're looking at kind of what Buffalo struggled with, against Kansas City was like getting good interior pressure on Patrick Mahomes, getting him off kilter as well, and providing some good pressure. I think he could be a guy that could help out a lot with this, just kind of with their goal, like to maybe like he'd be a good role player to help get them over the hump. But this also too can be where they do end up going secondary and go get a guy like Darian Porter here. I think Ryan. I also think receiver is a sneaky position that they could go after right here also.
Yeah, I mean, first to touch on Omar Norman-Lott, he did play a lot more passing downs than rushing downs, although he did grade out fairly well against on rushing downs and against the run, and so I do feel like he could be a 3 down player
He could
at
be.
some point in his career, and I just like him next to Ed Oliver. You go add JT Tuimoloau and you have Greg Rousseau, like that's a really solid front four right there, and you have some good linebacker play, you have some promising young corners there as well. And I think that this would really set up this defense well for the future. They could go Darian Porter. That's a guy that I like a lot. 6'2", a little over 200 pounds. Really good athlete. He's only been playing the cornerback position for a few years now. He was a wide receiver, I believe, coming out of high school and made the switch. But you can just see his natural athleticism and his growth on tape the last few seasons, and I feel like that could be a player that Sean McDermott would covet here, especially getting him at 56. So I think that would be really, really interesting. You could also go the Deion Walker route. My one thing with Deion Walker is he plays really tall. And he doesn't utilize his length as well as he should. So he needs some coaching there. Omar Norman-Lott, I think, could come in and really play a role for you right away, and be a contributor right away. As far as receivers go, Jalen Royals is on the board, but let's just get into their next pick here. About 6 picks later at 62, they take Tai Felton, the wide receiver from Maryland, who is so quick. And I use the word quick on purpose because maybe his long speed isn't the best, and he is fast, and he probably will run well at the combine, but the dude is just so twitchy off the line of scrimmage. He's about 6'2", 190. So he's a little bit thinner than you might like, but just really solid hands, really quick off the line of scrimmage, really quick in and out of his breaks. He just runs routes so well. I'm a big fan of his game here. And I think Buffalo, this would be a good compliment because he's in between Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman. And I think he would fit right in and be a contributor right away.
Yeah, especially too as well. He was an 1,100-yard receiver as well at Maryland this year, and I couldn't even tell you who their QB was.
Billy
I think
Edwards
that,
Jr., but
well, I think they bounced around QBs also too. Like it wasn't consistent this entire time, and so he took some serious rise here, and like even to being an Indiana fan and watching him as well against Indiana, we did a good job against him that game, but he also definitely had his opportunities to to have a really good game if he had a better quarterback. So I think you go and put him there and his skill set in that receiving room, and then with Josh Allen as your quarterback, I think he could potentially be that guy that that takes them over that next level, though, because as you said too, he is a good complement to what they currently have there also. And this is going to be a very interesting spot in the draft as well. This seems to be about where those like second round receivers seem to come off, as like Jalen Royals was taken at 58. Davion Williams was taking the pick before. Jack Besh. Is Jack Besh or Jack Beck?
it's
It's Jack Beck.
Besh.
Jack Besh was taken a couple picks later to your New England Patriots. I think that would be a very interesting player as well in Buffalo. So there's going to be a lot of guys I think that they can go after here if they're wanting to really beef up that skill position player room, and just add that other clear weapon that can maybe provide some good separation and a good option for Josh Allen. Another thing too as well, Mari Cooper and Matt Collins are going to be free agents as well.
Mhm.
Totally different types of players. They were more like kind of like an elder Keon Coleman, like what Keon Coleman's going to be, but they also didn't really provide the separation or the production that they were hoping
Yeah.
for. I think Ty Felton can be that guy. So in general, I think it's a very unique draft for Buffalo. A lot of different routes they can go. They'll probably end up trading back with one of those second round picks, maybe collect a couple more picks, maybe even with their first round pick, because that's what they did last year, like trade back into the early part of the second round, because there could be some teams picking very early that would want to trade up and go get a guy. And so the one area that we didn't address, and I think it was just the way that the board worked out, is like we talked about secondary a lot. I think that is going to be an area of need
Mhm.
for this team here. So how are they going to address that? This isn't the best secondary class, and maybe they wait till day 3 and they find a diamond in the rough. But at the same time, though, too, that's where kind of looking back at it from that perspective, though, too, is do they want to be more aggressive and maybe get a Siobhan Ravel with that first overall pick, with their first pick at 30? Would he provide more value to this team than what JT would provide, considering that this is a very deep defensive line class.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely something you need to take into consideration when making that pick. There's a lot of different ways they could go. I don't necessarily think either of them are wrong. They do have some promising guys in that secondary. This is also a good corner free agent class, and so I think that they could potentially go out and get a guy in that part of the offseason as well. So I'm really interested to see kind of what the Bills do this offseason. Let's wrap up this video here. And if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you want to see the Bills do this within this draft. Did you love our mock draft? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.